Hey everybody, welcome back to What's for Dinner. I hope you guys are all doing fantastic. For those of you who are new to our channel, welcome. I'm Mark. I'm a certified health coach, and this is my wife, Teresa. She's a board certified family nurse practitioner. And we like to talk about, what do we like to talk about? Metabolic health, which is fat loss. We like to talk about hormones.
Yep.
And kind of everything in between. So excited to have you guys here with us. And for those of you who are regular visitors to the channel, welcome back, and thank you so much for watching us again.
Yep.
So the theme we're going to talk a little bit about tonight is going to be if the medical establishment is failing you. So I know a lot of our regular followers here probably know the answer to that question, and a lot of you have your own stories with that. But I don't know if you guys know this, but in 2023, Big Pharma, so all the big pharmaceutical companies as a whole, made $1.5 trillion off of medical income from people. So for their pharmaceutical drugs that they're making. So that's a pretty considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, we should be probably the healthiest, most vigorous we've ever been in this country. Unfortunately, that's not the case. With that being said, we have higher degrees or higher amounts of people who are suffering from cardiovascular disease, cancer, obesity, diabetes. What else is there? Autoimmune diseases, mental health, mental illness, and dementia. All those things have actually increased, and they've been higher than ever since that's happening. So we're going to talk a little bit about why that might be happening tonight.
Yeah.
So if you go ahead,
over $1 trillion, you would think that the medical establishment has reached its pinnacle of success. So we should all be pretty healthy for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just saw a study where we have fallen below some third world countries. Definitely, we're pretty low on the totem pole for infant mortality, even though we're spending a lot of money on healthcare.
This is interesting too, because this also kind of parallels the healthcare thing, but also with foods. You know, we put more money into food, and our ways of harvesting and processing and transporting foods are better and more efficient than they've ever been. So the costs of food should be lower than they have ever been. However, they're not. The costs of foods are incredibly high. And I've talked about this before, and this was some time ago, but that has a lot to do with inflation and with our fiat currency we have in this country. But that's a topic of discussion for another time.
And remember, the foods we eat on a daily basis are banned elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in the EU, they have very strict food standards. So for all the shortcomings of the EU, one thing they're dialed in on is definitely the food side of things, at least better than we are. So if you guys are frustrated with the medical system, just know that there's millions of people who are like you who are frustrated with it. And it's not because you guys aren't trying hard enough. It's there's a lot more to it. We'll go into that. But anyway, if you guys are feeling gaslighted by the system, you're not the only one. So
you are being gaslighted.
You are 100% being gaslighted. So Teresa's going to talk about that.
Well, I was just going to read a quote from Dr. Rob Seifus. He's on YouTube. He's the carb addiction doc. He's a bariatric surgeon in Florida. It's CWYES, Rob Seifus. He said, a notable aspect of private health insurance is the absence of any reason for it to exist. It doesn't contain costs. It doesn't expand coverage, doesn't expedite care. It makes it all worse. Its sole function is to profit as a rent-seeking middleman between patients and providers. So many times you guys are trying to get things done with your health insurance that you pay upwards of $1,000 or more a month for, and they want to deny you. Deny this, we deny that. They have to do a peer-to-peer with your physician or your provider. That peer that's on the other end of your provider might not even be a cardiologist talking to a cardiologist that wants something. They may not even be the same specialty that they are denying the procedure for or the med for. It's just a bunch of baloney, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you know, also because of the insurance-based model that we have, because we're talking about a little bit about insurance there, is, you know, the fact that the providers only get about 15 minutes with you total. Now, understand that of that 15 minutes that they get, they can only spend about 5 of those minutes face-to-face with you. The rest of the time is done charting, ordering medicine, doing notes and things like that for you. So it's just very, very, very short amounts of time, especially when you're talking about how long you have to wait to get an appointment, to even get in to see them. And then once you get there, how long are you going to be waiting in the waiting room or the lobby to get in to actually see them? So it's tremendous.
And in fact, and it's really, I mean, nurse practitioners can accumulate a lot of debt as well, but nurse practitioners, PAs, and MDs should be super outraged that when they leave school heavily in debt and wasted time and money, that they'd never really actually learned anything about the human body. And then I just had a patient tell me that She had scheduled an appointment with her GYN for her yearly annual exam next year in 2025. They just sent her a notification that the provider, the doctor, will not be there that day. So you know when they rescheduled her?
I could imagine it was probably a long ways out again.
2026.
Wow.
And they said if you have a problem with that, reach out to your primary. Maybe they can refer you somewhere else.
Yeah.
So the big thing right now is this time to get in with people. It's almost like we have socialized medicine, because those people, because I worked in Florida on the cardiac floor where we did step down for cardiac caths and cabbage bypass surgery. And many Canadians came and had surgeries done, well, first of all, a lot of Canadians came to Florida in the winter, but they came to have their stuff done because they had to wait 8-9 months for it. So now you have to wait that long for somebody like this patient. And then you know what happens. You don't really know this, but every year your employer changes insurances. Used to, you kept your doctor for life. Like you would have them the whole time you were alive unless you moved. So now your employers are always looking for the cheapest insurance. So they change every single year. So now my patient, by the time she gets to 2026, her insurance might change. Then you got to find a new doctor. Then you got to wait 6 to 9 months to get in with this new doctor. And by that time, it's a new year and your insurance changed. Now you got to find a new doctor. It's insane.
Yeah.
But we are this first world, very privileged, with resources and smarts country.
Yeah. And, kind of piggybacking off of this insurance model that we're talking about, this is another reason too, with that 15 minutes that you get, I mentioned earlier, spent in with your provider, the provider has to see, just massive amounts of people per day.
People.
Yeah. I mean, what do you spend an hour with each person at a new patient or a first time follow-up patient? You spend about an hour with them. And, we can only see potentially 8 patients a day at our clinic and whatnot, but these people are cranking out 28, 30 patients a day just for one provider in a clinic. So you can see how.
No, and they've done surveys. Doctors say they're done at 9, patient number 9, which for some people is like 9:30 in the morning.
When you say 9, when they're done at patient number 9, that's where they've reached
their mental capacity to do much more. Is not there.
Yeah.
But Sean Baker said quite a few things. He said it's our own fault. So Sean Baker's a carnivore orthopedic doctor. He said our reaction to COVID was a bleep show. He said we've completely outsourced our independence to big pharma, and we have a condescension toward anyone who thinks outside the box.
Yeah.
That's you guys. Then when you walk in and you say, I saw on Google, I saw on YouTube, and your doctors want to say, oh, you're listening to YouTube doctors or YouTube nurse practitioners that don't even really practice. No, we practice. And then we still try to disseminate free and helpful information so you guys could be the healthiest you can be.
Well, and the flip side of that is you folks wouldn't have to be going on Google, and we wouldn't have to be doing all these searches and reading all these books and whatnot if the providers were doing their job at the end of the day.
And Dr. Tro had said at one point, he said, at some point you will have to wake up and realize you've been fundamentally manipulated by government, industry, and indoctrination. And specifically, if you have diabetes or fatty liver or mental illness or infertility, that's what he's talking about. You're going to have to do the exact opposite of what all of that government, healthcare, and the indoctrination. And the indoctrination is medical schools, nurse practitioner schools. We learn what big pharma tells them to teach us.
They're literally writing the books for these providers.
And I didn't understand that, but in my pathophysiology books in nursing school and stuff, the cardiovascular chapter, for instance, it would be like 162 pages in the chapter, and then the last 25 pages was all the drugs. And I remember I never really liked that part of it. Like my stomach would always get a little like, this is like too many meds. And but I mean, to say you're doing healthcare because you're writing prescriptions is not healthcare. Yeah. So I have said this before, you can't go to the bank and take out $1 million loan and then come home and start telling people that you're a millionaire. No, you just have $1 million in debt. You're the same exact person. So, I mean, just because you're prescribing doesn't mean you're creating health. You guys have to create health. You have to.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into what do you do? So you have to find independent providers who are not involved with insurance. I mean, potentially some of them could bill insurance for certain things, but you stay away from that. But the biggest thing is just to stay out of the hospital and out of the operating room and out of the doctor's office as much as you can. So, follow people online, on social media or websites, read books, and just stay the heck away. And then when you have to go see somebody, hopefully there's somebody close to you who, works more in functional medicine, alternative medicine, whatever you want to call it.
I know functional medicine, I just feel like
there's some differences in opinion with regards to certain things in functional medicine.
and
so
the
that's what
prices
Teresa's
they're
trying to
charging.
get at. And yes,
The price,
that's right. So anyway,
yeah, that's another time though.
Yeah, definitely another time.
So I was just going to say, like, if you get shot with a bullet, you should go to the hospital.
Oh yeah.
We had a neighbor when we lived in the country that got his leg was almost severed from a brush hog. You got to go to the hospital. I had a kidney stone in 2020. I did not go to the hospital. I should have. I didn't trust the hospital system, so I tried to pass it at home. Got about 3 days, 2.5 days in, vomiting nonstop, fever of 104, delirious, and Mark's like,
time to go.
Maybe it's not a kidney stone.
Yeah.
It got stuck. So then I got a little septic. But anyway, there are certain things like kidney stone is a great thing. Go to the ER, get a little Dilaudid, get some pain medicine, go home and pass it if it's small enough.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, certain things is what we're saying is just not the appropriate time to rub essential oils on it, but
right.
So we got to be careful of that.
Corporate medicine is great for the things I just listed. Corporate medicine knows nothing about health and prevention. So Casey and Callie Means have been making the rounds. You guys, I shared both of their little thingies they did with Ken Berry on my page, but she's a doctor that dropped out, almost finished as an ENT because she figured out what the system she was about to get into really was. Yeah. And she got called horrendous things when she started to say, like, do you think nutrition matters? Why do you think I'm operating on this person's sinuses like for the 4th time? She got told to shut up and got called some names I can't repeat. But she was saying she went to Stanford, which is a prestigious medical school. And she was just saying she learned nothing about the human body, nothing about nutrition. So that's who you're going to for advice. Some of you guys are going to them for advice on hormones, carnivore, low carb, essential oils, turmeric,
yeah, I mean,
fish oil.
Fill in the blanks.
They do not know those things. And instead of them saying, I'm sorry, I don't know those things, they tell you you're going to die if you use those things. So don't use those things. So it's just silly.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, I had a patient come back to me yesterday. I saw her for the first time after I put her on hormones, and she was kind of ear to ear grinning, and she is a 60-year-old female. I put her on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. Her levels went from literally 0 on everything to her DHEA was like 27 or 40, and she's at 152, it's just a massive amount of difference. The only thing that really didn't budge was her testosterone for some reasons, like inconsistencies, but her libido still improved with the little bit she's using in progesterone. But anyway, she's just like, I feel so good. And that is most of my day. Most of my day is people telling me they feel so much better. I'm not saying hormones is the end all, but I'm saying if you have a strict hormone deficiency, it's going to help. Now, if you're on the verge of a divorce because you have hormone deficiencies and you hate your job and all that other stuff, they might not help. But anyway, she said, you're so right, because I've seen my doctor in between now, me seeing you in this visit. And they were a little mad that I was on these things. And then they just kept wanting to say, are you sure you're not depressed? I could give you an antidepressant. Are you sure you don't have anxiety? Because she said they asked her that at least 4 or 5 times, because they love to give antidepressants and anti-anxiety when you need to change your food, get on hormones, start to pray a little more, start to have self-care. The amount of prescriptions that we write is not necessary.
For sure.
Causes a lot of other problems. So
for sure. It was a good case study though.
Yeah. Nice. I just said to her, this is most of my day. The doctors and nurse practitioners that work in corporate medicine, this is not their day. This is not what their day consists of. Their day consists of gaslighting people into pretending like all that's happening is because you're old and fat. You just need to lose weight. You're kind of old. You're getting old. And they'll tell 40-year-olds that they're old.
Yeah.
And that's the only excuse.
It's normal for your age. It's genetics. There's nothing you can do about it. You got to take this pill. It's the only thing. There's no self-empowerment, to go and take charge of your health and to make the changes you need. So, you're healthier.
And they might be telling you to exercise, but they're talking about like running and walking. They're not talking about building metabolic muscle. Your muscle's poking out there.
It is. Sorry.
They're not saying muscle mass is the best biomarker, of longevity. They're not saying make sure you're eating protein, females over 40 and 50, they're not saying this.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Important stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
you guys got to get out of that system.
For sure. But we're here for you guys. Hopefully some of this stuff that we're talking about on a regular basis helps with you.
Yeah.
And so just so everybody knows, we're starting to roll out this stuff on Instagram too. So we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. So with that being said, if you guys find value in any of this stuff, please feel free to hit whatever those buttons are, depending upon which platform you're on. And then if you haven't already done so, please consider liking, following, subscribing, whatever it is that you're that applies to you. And as always, we'll drop a like a little section where we have like links to different things like our website and some of the different podcasts Teresa have done and some other helpful information.
Yeah.
Those will be in the comments and description sections of this video. So be sure to check those out, and also go back and look at all of our archived videos, the old videos. We've got a lot of stuff we talk about that's probably applicable and helpful for you guys. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for watching. We love you all.
So
Don't
much.
forget, food matters.
Food matters.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.